Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Namaste Village and the Namaste Experience. Great to have all of you, and great to have all of you. So I just asked everyone a few seconds ago to see if you can tune in to that place of discomfort within each one of us, unrest, that place within us that knows something isn't quite right. Usually we would be told, see if you can touch that holy sacred place within, see if you can tune into that light-filled, that's beautiful and that's a good thing to do. But today we're just going to turn it around a little bit. Why? Because being comfortable is highly overrated. We're always seeking to be comfortable. If I only had the right house, if I only had the right partner, then I'll be comfortable. If I had enough stuff, enough money in the bank, whatever it may be, then I'll be comfortable. But you never are. It never really works. It's an idea. We're going to be turning that around. We're going to flip it to see how beneficial just going into the discomfort can be, to remind us that there is something beyond all of that, all of those ideas that we really want. Beyond this world, there is a world that I want. So before we do that, today is Friday, and guess what Friday means? Reverend Johannes is going to be with me. So Johannes, why don't you come on up?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Anything you want to say about discomfort before we get going? Of course, Johannes never knows what we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
she always wants to, but I never tell her.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's part of my practice. Part of the discomfort. It's part of the discomfort. Yes, and to trust spirit.
Yeah.
Because I am here only to be truly helpful, and to be truly helpful means, to channel as much as I can the guidance of spirit and to trust that. So, and sometimes there's discomfort in that trust, you see? So, yeah.
I mean, most people, I would say, are more like you than me in that regard, because I like the feeling of being unprepared. I like the feeling of just showing up and having very little planned, because I know that spirit will always show up. Most people, they want to have a good idea. They want to be prepared. Why? Because it's uncomfortable to think that I won't have anything to say. I won't say anything. What do you want to say about that?
Well, because it's great what you say. But my training, I have a master's in education and math. So I was trained as a math teacher. And teachers everywhere, you prepare lesson plans. I'm teaching Keys to the Kingdom, and ask the group, which is actually, they are all angels. But I come so prepared to that class, in advance, that it's like a lesson plan. So that's what I'm doing, but it's okay. I'm learning your way.
Oh, it's not my way, trust me.
Oh, it's the Holy Spirit way. Okay.
Around every Thursday at late afternoon, early evening, I'll get a text from Johannes saying, "What's our lesson going to be?"
Is there anything done for tomorrow? Did you prepare something? Is there anything? And James is like, no. I don't know.
The truth is, at least for today, I didn't know anything until right before. I wanted to show up myself in a similar way. I wanted to not know and to just be comfortable within the not knowing. I think that's a big part of the key, to be comfortable within the not knowing. But then I felt the inspiration to look back at some lessons that we had shared, 6 months to a year ago. And there was one that just popped out, jumped forward, and I think I will share that. And it does guide us perfectly into this topic. So let me go ahead. Oh, before we do, let me let's say our opening prayer. Where is that? All right. Let me put this full screen. Here we go. I am as God created me. If I remain as God created me, fear has no meaning. Evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. I am as God created me. Okay, now that we have that established, let's go to the lesson of the day. So this was from a series that we did called The Master Teacher Within. The voice you hear is but your own. So this is the Master Teacher within you speaking directly to you. Why are you seeking the comfortable path to God? Does it surprise you to hear that it doesn't exist? Why are you searching for lessons or books or teachers that make you feel good about where you are? You would be better off seeking a teacher who pushes you to see that you have no idea where you are, and then challenge you to dive into that discomfort of that reality rather than avoid it. Stop moving from book to book or from one teacher to the next, hoping that you're going to find the one who will tell you what you want to hear. Did you hear that? Stop looking for the book or the teacher that's going to tell you what you want to hear. Look for the one who tells you what you refuse to hear. The one that forces you to stretch further than you've ever stretched before. It may feel like your muscles are being torn apart, when in reality, you're like a tiny bird pecking away at the inside of a stubborn shell until it finally breaks open. And then you emerge into the light.
Wow.
So, this idea of the muscles. Imagine you went to a gym and you signed up for 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness or the gym up the road, whatever it may, and because you haven't worked out in a long time, you decided to get a trainer. And you have two choices. And you've been hearing about these two different trainers who work there. The first trainer that's there is really nice. And likes, just gives you, just a little bit of weight to push up and down, or just do a few squats. You don't need to do very many. That's the first teacher. And then the second one you hear is tough and pushes you and puts weight on that thing that's just, you can barely get up. Now, there's a part of you that thinks, gosh, it'd be nice to be with that one that's going to make it easy and comfortable, and I can just go in there, we can tell jokes and laugh. But really, I think we all know which one is the better choice, don't we? The one that's going to push us.
Yes.
The one that's going to make our muscles ache. Because when you work out and really work out, you're literally tearing the muscles so that they can be rebuilt stronger. My daughter used to be a trainer. And so I would go to the gym and I would have her train me. And she would say, Daddy, I hate training you because you bitch and you complain. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Stop complaining and do it. She'd be hard on me. It's like, you're my daughter. You shouldn't talk to me like that. But she was tough on me.
Yeah.
And that's what we would want any trainer to do. And it's what we would want any spiritual teacher to do as well, to get us to look at the fact that there is no place of true comfort here, because this is not your home. There is something, an experience beyond all of this that a big part of us refuses to look at, because we would rather just be comfortable, because there's something about that experience that we're still a little bit nervous about, that we still kind of keep at arm's length. What the Holy Spirit is always trying to do is to push us to see, to open our eyes. What do you think about that?
Okay. Well, I have always said that it's not about the spiritual path, it's not about denying where we are. And it might be painful to see, to recognize the shadow or things that are not helpful anymore in our lives, to release them. That's what I always say. It's just to release them and to trust spirit, as I said this morning. And yes, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's, we don't want to see what's in front of us, but until we see it and say, I don't want this anymore in my life, then I don't have to do this. And usually it's painful. Actually, the Course in Miracles says that we don't need to suffer to awakening, but it's the only way we know. It's like that exactly, literally.
Of course, we don't have to, but usually it's the way it happens.
We don't have to until, and then it says, until we choose differently. So the thing is not to be afraid of seeing that. It's not to be afraid of facing whatever we need to face, and then to take the next step, to go to the next level. Like my logo and in Unity para Todos, my Spanish ministry is where the spiritually brave growth or awake.
How do you say it in Spanish?
Donde los espiritualmente valientes crecen. Valientes. We have to be brave to face whatever we know that we cannot blame anybody for our life situation. We know that. It's a matter of taking 100% responsibility for what we think, what we say, what we choose to think, what we choose to say, what we choose to do. That's where free will is. And no matter how uncomfortable it is, it's the only way. I mean, we are never going to go to our next step by denying where we are. It's by really facing it, letting it go, and to choose differently. That's where our power lies, in our choices, our reaction, our response to things that happen around us. That's our power. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable, or sometimes a lot uncomfortable, but it has to be.
Yeah.
It's like math, no?
I hate math, but go ahead.
I know math. Somebody asked me, how could you be a math teacher? That's such a brain. And I'm like, I saw math from my heart, and I learned math from my heart. I love math. So I had to push my children. I taught junior high school. Missy, you are so... I said, that's the only way. You have to practice. You have to do your homework. You have to... In the class on Monday, Kiss to the Kingdom, I was like, I feel like I'm acting like my junior high school children. You have to do your work. You have to do the discipline.
Most of the teachers that we remember from school are the ones who pushed us.
Oh, yeah.
We don't tend to remember the ones that were really easy on us and we didn't learn much. My favorite teacher in high school was a guy named Thomas Amundsen, and I had the chance to have lunch with him a couple of years ago, and I told him, you were my favorite teacher. I learned a lot from you because you made me work at it. And yet there is a part of us that always wants the easy path, the comfortable path. But though it's true, we don't have to suffer to learn. Unfortunately, it's usually how it works with us human beings.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we just want to sit back. Oh, I'm comfortable now. Let's keep it like this. Don't let anything change because right now I'm comfortable. but you don't grow. And this is about stepping higher and higher and going deeper and deeper to the point where there's a breakthrough into the actual experience.
Yes.
You have to remember that the egoic part of us, the split mind, will do anything to avoid the experience of awakening. Literally will do anything. It will play the game up to a certain point. It will create the illusion of spiritual growth while holding on for literally for dear life, because to let go and to really transform, it feels like a risk, but it's not a true risk, because it's really just it's about trusting that current, letting the current take you. But we have to be brave, as you said.
Brave, and to get out of our comfortable
comfort zone.
Comfort zone is literally truth. And also to push ourselves. Why not? And we can do it in a loving way.
Sure.
You see, but we must have some sort of discipline. When you are reading your inside words, or the Holy Spirit's inside words through you, I was thinking about the gym. I mean, or like if you want to learn to play an instrument, imagine that you want to learn to play the guitar, and you buy this beautiful guitar, and you have the guitar there, and you every day are like, oh my God, what a beautiful guitar. I want to learn to play. Actually, I'm going to play the guitar. And you never take any lessons, and you never practice, and you never do so. You are not going to learn to play the guitar. Same thing, learning a language. You see, I am telling you by my own experience. Practice, making mistakes still. I mean, for me, English it will always be my second language, because it's not the same thing. Like it doesn't feel the same thing than Spanish. It's so easy for me to do everything in Spanish. In English, ay, Dios mío. So that's the way. It's practice. It's discipline. I was talking to Jet about discipline this morning during breakfast. So, and he explained to me the difference in his life when he was just like, well, whatever. And now that he's committed to that discipline, to practice his yoga movements, to do this. And he says, yes, it's hard, but I'm so much happier.
Yeah.
He told me that. So life, beloved ones, is about discipline.
Yeah.
In everything. Anything we want to learn.
Why don't we listen to that lesson one more time?
Yes.
And then I'm going to turn it over to Vicky. But let's listen to this. Oops. Let me share it on the screen first. And then, Vicky, I'm going to turn it over to you. But let's hear this one more time. The Master Teacher Speaks. Since it's kind of short. Why are you seeking the comfortable path to God? Does it surprise you to hear that it doesn't exist? Why are you searching for lessons or books or teachers that make you feel good about where you are? You would be better off seeking a teacher who pushes you to see that you really have no idea where you are, then challenges you to dive into that discomfort, the discomfort of that reality rather than avoid it. Stop moving from book to book or from one teacher to the next, hoping to find one that will tell you what you want to hear. Boy, can you relate to that one? The one that forces you to stretch further than you've ever stretched before. That's the one you should look for. It may feel like your muscles are being torn apart, when in reality, you're like a tiny bird pecking away at the inside of a stubborn shell until it finally breaks open. Then you emerge into the light. Imagine a tiny bird inside that shell being content with being inside the shell. That's literally what you do when we live within the shell of the ego belief system. It's time to start pecking, guys. All right, Vicky, good morning to you.
Good morning, Father James. Good morning, Johannes. Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm just going to give another perspective. I was never fond of the teachers that made me tear my muscles. So, another option between the comfortable teacher and the one that throws you off the cliff, and I have had experience with this, is the one that inspires us. Have you had a teacher ever that inspired you? Maybe didn't push you, maybe didn't tell you how good you are or bad you are all the time. They simply were the inspiration of what it looks like to live freely, to live happily, to live joyfully. What Jesus says in the course, he says, listen, we can do this from mild to wild. And what you were saying, Jimmy, is most of us wait until we're really pushed off that cliff before, what do? We ask for help. We surrender, give up our thinking. So we usually get to a wild, disastrous situation before we give up our own investment in how we see everything. And the course, perhaps it's a little bit of everything, but one of the things it also is, it's an inspiration. I mean, wherever you pick it up, it's inspiring. I want to be that. What the option is you can tear your muscles apart and be, go just, train, or you can just, whatever. But if we're inspired, what Jesus guides us to is mild to wild. Look at the mild stuff. That's what vigilance for God and His kingdom is. That's what present awareness does. If we're presently aware, really aware, we're very aware that we're uncomfortable in what may appear to be relatively comfortable situations that we let ourselves get away with. So, if we're going to let this be a lesson that we learn from our desire to learn, from inspiration, from models and teachers that inspire us, I don't want to be tearing my muscles apart anymore. It's like, okay, I get it. Let me pay attention all day. And where I'm mildly anything but happy, then all that means is I have to choose again. And I don't have to choose between door A, door B, and door C. I only have to choose, oh, let me turn within. What's your direction here? I'm not going to choose ego door A, B, or C. I'm not choosing any of those doors. I'm choosing the one door of spirit. That's how we live by vocation, by calling. And it's in the little things. It's the big things often where we do this, but we don't have to. We can do it in the little things, mild to wild. I'm all for doing it in mild, and I'm all for, and Brother Francis James, you are one of them, teachers that inspire, teachers that live in the freedom of spirit. And that inspires me. I want to be that. I want to do that. How do I do that? And instead of trying to discipline with this harsh regiment, I've never been fond of harsh regiments, but the focus of present awareness is quite helpful. In fact, it is the most helpful because the ego likes to push us to extremes. And the spirit is a gentler way if we let it be. If we let every moment be a chance to find out what is our calling of this moment, just of right now. I mean, it's simple as that, because if we get very honest with ourselves, we know when there's an abiding upset that we haven't faced. So, in the mild discomfort of it, let's face it. And all facing it means is here I am, Lord, mildly uncomfortable before I'm in a ditch off a plank somewhere, cascading down a mountaintop. But here I am now. I recognize the signs of something that isn't fully at peace in me. I need that correction right now.
Yeah. Mild to wild. I love it.
Wow, let me take the mild.
Hey, Vicky, I have this vision of us being at a gym, and I'm out there with the really tough trainer pushing those weights, and you're in the Zumba class
That's right.
next door, just dancing away.
Yeah.
Do you want to share something?
Yeah, that when Vicky was talking, I remember that today's daily word. I'm just going to read some, not the whole daily word, but this is one paragraph. It says, a ver, I remain fully aware of the happiness and sadness, the triumph and turmoil that comprise the human experience. I don't deny the existence of life's more unpleasant realities, but I do commit my focus to what is in my power to change. I do commit my focus to what is in my power to change, namely my thoughts and feelings.
Mm.
That is why is a job or a work that we individually have to do.
Yeah.
You see, I love my husband dearly. I cannot learn the lessons he needs to learn for him. I cannot face his shadows or to see. So it's all of us. That's the calling to do what needs to be done to just and to choose love.
So it's interesting that this lesson and that whole series is called The Master Teacher Within. And the reason it is called that is because I wrote these when I was in the anchor hold. So it was more than a year ago. And I was having these deep memories of our teacher, the master teacher in Wisconsin, when we were living with him. And he was that tough trainer. He was the one who would keep putting more weight on the barbell and say, come on, stop bitching about it and just do it. So I want to tell you a story so you can understand the difference. So at that time, when I first went there were maybe 75 people or so. We would have sessions every morning at 9 o'clock, and he would come in and he would be that direct, right to the point, grab a hold of it, very powerful teacher. And because Vicky, and by the way, Teddy was his right-hand man. So Teddy was just as serious and just as focused. And then Vicky, she would be in the back of the room, and she and Claire would just start to dance. And they would be in the back of the room, just jumping around, dancing. And before you knew it, everybody else was joining. And it was still a very deep but teaching, but it exploded into the light, and it became this light-filled expression and experience. Do you remember that, Vicky?
She's there. Yeah.
Yes, oh yes, I remember that well. And we're still dancing.
We're still dancing.
But you know what? It is going to be uncomfortable. Well, until you choose not to go through that path, like Vicky has decided that no, this doesn't have to be uncomfortable, and I can do this. But in the meantime, it's going to be uncomfortable until you just say, "Can you hold this?" For example, this is something I did in the class on Monday. Everybody, if you can, please just put your hands like this. No, we do that constantly. Like sometimes when we pray or we are waiting for something. Now move your right hand toward you and cross your hands again.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
How it feels? Weird, uncomfortable. What do you want to do? You want to go back. To the comfortable things. That's what we do. That's what we do. It really feels uncomfortable when you are trying to change or to do things different, and you just want to run back to your comfort zone. See, that's
So the lesson is just to hold still when you make that shift. Hold still. It will get comfortable.
Yes.
You will adjust. We think, oh, I'm not going to be able to adjust to seeing everything through the eyes of Christ. I'm not going to be able to adjust to being in the light all the time. It's better for me just to sit here in the shadow. No, just Sit still within the light. I promise you, it's going to become even beyond comfort. It's going to become your way of life, your way of being present to the moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, Victoria. I like your name, Victoria.
Any final words from you, Victoria?
No, but I would choose the path of joy. Jesus, there's that option, but very few choose to take it.
Vicky's still in the back dancing. No, we need that example. And I really do like what you said, Vicky, and you are such an example of that inspiration, the one who just inspires us, that you don't have to keep putting more weight on the barbell. You just dance in the back and inspire us to do the same.
Actually, at the gym, you can do both. You go to your Zumba classes and dance, and you can do weight. That's what I do at the gym. I do both. So yes, so salsa or Zumba. But you usually do both in a gym.
Yeah.
Right? Because
So you see here, we come together 6 days a week. It's only been a half hour. I mean, these are not long classes. I don't believe in, I bore myself if I talk too long. And we don't need to belabor. Let's just get right in, celebrate. We can do this in these short bursts, but if we keep coming back to these short bursts of light, they maintain us, they lift us, they buoy us throughout the whole day. So keep coming back.
Yeah.
Keep joining this beautiful family. I'm so grateful to all of you.
Yeah, to support one another. That's the idea.
So thank you, Vicky. Thanks to all of you. Have an amazing Friday.
We'll see you
Sunday.
Unity service.
Who is Brendolyn doing the
Yes,
service on
yes,
Sunday?
yes.
Good, Brendolyn, Reverend
Oh, 2
Brendolyn.
hours different now? Well,
To remind people
What?
on the East Coast.
the East Coast.
Well, yes, if you don't know already, our time in Mexico does not change for 2 more weeks. So it's an hour later than you were used to. So if you were on the East Coast and it was 1 p.m., it's 2 p.m. for 2 more weeks.
Right. So we at the same time right now.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
now.
let's do the final prayer. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amén, amén, y amén. Y punto.
Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.